From ancient times, humans have always enjoyed competition, be it through war or sport. Today, we explore some of the most fascinating and lesser-known facts from the world of sports. Let's start with the 1936 Berlin Olympics, held in Nazi Germany. It was the first time both the Olympic torch relay and multi-camera TV coverage were introduced, elements that define the modern Olympic Games. Back then, many nations were still on good terms with Germany, so teams from across the globe attended, except the USSR, Lithuania, and a few others who chose to boycott. The Nazi regime used the Olympics as propaganda, aiming to prove the superiority of the so-called Aryan race. Germany topped the gold medal count, but their narrative was disrupted when African-American athletes from the U.S. won multiple events, most notably Jesse Owens, who broke records and won 4 gold medals. His success deeply frustrated Nazi officials, and Hitler avoided shaking hands with non-German winners. The games were meticulously organized. For example, a new track surface was introduced, helping runners achieve better grip and set new world records. Thousands of white doves were released during the opening ceremony, but when the starting cannon fired, the startled birds made a mess on spectators and athletes. Nazi Germany temporarily removed anti-Semitic propaganda from the streets of Berlin to present a cleaner image. However, only one Jewish athlete, who happened to be blonde, was allowed to represent Germany, while all others were excluded. After White II, the International Olympic Committee acknowledged the mistake of allowing the 1936 Games to be hosted in Nazi Germany and issued an official apology. Moving on to a more modern sport, ethical hacking. In recent years, global competitions known as CTF, Capture the Flag, have emerged. In one event in Dubai, a solo contestant from Kazakhstan named Ruslan Isaev managed to beat entire teams and finished second. These competitions test skills in cybersecurity, showing how digital defense has become a competitive sport of its own. So how did the Olympics begin? In ancient Greece, the Games were part of a religious festival honoring Zeus. All conflicts in the region were paused to allow safe travel to Olympia. The first recorded games were in 776 BC and included events like running, wrestling, and discus. However, interest waned due to political and religious shifts. In 393 AD, the Roman Emperor Theodosius banned them, declaring them a pagan ritual incompatible with Christianity. The games were forgotten for centuries until the 19th century, when French historian Pierre de Coubertin revived them with ideals of unity, peace, and respect. In 1896, the first modern Olympic Games were held in Athens, reigniting global interest. But the Olympics have also been a political tool. During the Cold War, the USSR and the USA battled not just in space and arms, but also in sports. Political tensions often led to boycotts. For example, in 1980, over 60 countries skipped the Moscow Olympics in protest of the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan. In retaliation, the Soviet Union boycotted the 1984 Games in Los Angeles. Success in sports often requires more than just talent and training. It may involve genetic advantages and, unfortunately, performance-enhancing drugs. The issue of doping came into focus in 1960 after Danish cyclist Knud Enemark Jensen collapsed during an event. Although direct links were unclear, it led to increased scrutiny. In 1967, British cyclist Tom Simpson died during the Tour de France after mixing amphetamines with alcohol. This tragic event accelerated the creation of anti-doping regulations. Since then, various substances, including common medications, have been banned, such as meldonium, which was originally used to treat heart disease but enhanced oxygen transport in the blood. In Victorian England, a concept called Muscular Christianity emerged, promoting the idea that physical strength and spiritual virtue could coexist. This belief inspired the formation of youth and sports organizations like the YMCA, spreading globally. Critics viewed it as too worldly, but its influence on how modern Christians view physical fitness is undeniable. Let's talk about streaking, when people run naked onto the field during sports events. This behavior, often seen as a prank, became a cultural phenomenon in the 1970s in American college campuses. While it may seem new, similar acts date back to medieval religious sects like the Adamites, who promoted public nudity. Streakers appear mostly in football and baseball games. Some do it for publicity, others as protest. Penalties are usually small fines, so the trend continues. Here's another fun fact. Figure skating got its name because athletes used to draw geometric patterns on the ice with their skates. Over time, that element faded, replaced by elegant jumps and spins. Skates date back to prehistoric times, initially made from animal bones. Metal blades introduced in medieval Holland gave rise to the sport we know today. Did you know tennis players can be fined up to $20,000 at tournaments like Wimbledon for swearing, regardless of the language? Umpires learn key curse words in multiple languages to enforce this rule. Now about the so-called football war. In 1969, a brief but violent conflict broke out between El Salvador and Honduras after a series of heated World Cup qualifying matches. Although the root causes were economic and political, like land disputes and migration, the football loss ignited existing tensions. The war lasted 6 days and left a lasting scar on both nations. Some unusual sports never make it to the Olympics but are wildly entertaining. In Indonesia, there's fireball football, played with a flaming coconut shell soaked in kerosene. In Scotland, people race through ditches with snorkels or toss logs in precise ways. Finland hosts wife-carrying contests, where men carry women through obstacle courses. Then there's chess boxing. Players alternate between rounds of chess and boxing. Transgender athletes have also entered the spotlight. One example is Laurel Hubbard from New Zealand, a former male weightlifter who transitioned and competed in the 2021 Tokyo Olympics. While she didn't medal, her participation sparked debates on fairness in sports. Some argue that after hormone therapy, transgender athletes no longer hold an advantage. Others believe differences in muscle memory or bone structure remain. But then again, is sports competition ever truly fair? Genetics already play a massive role. Top sprinters are disproportionately black men. Basketball teams from nations like the US often dwarf their rivals physically. Michael Phelps, the legendary swimmer, wears size 14 shoes, essentially built-in flippers. Serena Williams has naturally more muscle mass than most women. Should those be considered unfair advantages? Eventually, genetic modification may redefine sports. Athletes could be engineered for performance, making sports more about science than training. In such a future, only genetically enhanced individuals may compete at the highest levels. Many people love watching sports, but why? Athletes compete for fame and money. That's easy to understand. But fans? Most of them don't play the sport themselves. They sit, watch, and emotionally invest in teams that don't even know they exist. Billions are spent each year on player salaries, stadiums, and tournaments. If that money were redirected to science and innovation, we might have already colonized Mars or cured cancer. But instead, we fund a global entertainment industry driven by ads, tickets, and TV ratings. So here's a question. Why do people care so deeply about sports they don't play? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'm curious to hear them.